So, good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. So, in today's tutorial session, we'll be discussing few of the contracting model for clouds. As we have discussed, to access various resources over cloud, what all require is to get the authentication and authorizations for that. एक बार आपने अकाउंट जनरेट कर लिया, परमिशंस ले ली, तो आप वो रिसोर्सेज उतनी ड्यूरेशन के लिए यूज कर सकते हैं जितनी आपको परमिटेड है। तो इस चीज में लाइक प्रोविजनिंग एंड डी प्रोविजनिंग में, एलोकेशंस में कोई लॉन्ग टर्म क्रियोस ना हो, कोई कन्फ्लिक्शन ना हो। सो उस चीज को अवॉइड करने के लिए वी यूज टू हैव सम कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल like mutual agreement between cloud providers and the cloud users. So contract से हमेशा क्लियर हो जाता है कि आपको कौन सी सर्विसेज मिलेंगी, कितने टाइम स्पैन के लिए मिलेंगी और कितने प्राइस में मिलेंगी। सो कोई कन्फ्लिक्शन, कोई कंफ्यूजन आगे के लिए ना हो, इसलिए वी यूज टू प्रेफर सर्टन काइंड ऑफ mutual contracts or license agreements or service agreements. So we used to prefer that. So over the cloud, we are preferring few of the contracting models. So let's discuss them one by one. Firstly, we have licensing agreements and the service agreements. So what actually a license agreement is all about? आप सॉफ्टवेयर्स डाउनलोड करते हो, so it asks for some licensing, security key or your license key. So it is what? It is actually a agreement by the developer. कोई भी कंपनी है जिसने अपना सॉफ्टवेयर लॉन्च किया है, वो एक परमिशन जो है वो मांगती है कि हाँ, क्या आपके पास इस सॉफ्टवेयर को एक्सेस करने की परमिशंस हैं। अगर आपके पास वो की होती है, सिक्योरिटी की है या लाइसेंस के लिए आपने पे किया हुआ है, यू हैव द लाइसेंस एग्रीमेंट, दैट मीन्स दे आर अलाउइंग यू टू हैव द कॉपी ऑफ पर्टिकुलर सॉफ्टवेयर। आप उस सॉफ्टवेयर की कॉपी रख सकते हैं, इंस्टॉल कर सकते हैं उसका और उसको यूज कर सकते हैं। मीन्स यू आर ऑथराइज्ड एंड यू आर ऑथेंटिकेटेड यूजर एंड विद ऑल द परमिशंस रिलेटेड टू दैट। So when we are talking about a traditional software license agreement, it is used when a licensor is providing a copy of software to a license for its users, which is usually non-exclusive, and this copy is not being sold or transferred to the licensee. So it is not actually, we are not transferring the software, we are not selling the software, rather we are just permitting with providing a copy of that particular software to have it. But the copyrights remain with the company or the developer. So the software license is basically, it is the license is important because it sets forth the terms under which software can be used by the licensee, and the license protects the licensor against the inadvertent transfer of ownership. So the copyrights, as I told you, will remain with the owners of the developer of software, or to the person or a company. So they are having the copyrights for that, and just they are permitting others by providing the copy to have a access. So it also provides a mechanism for the licensor of a particular software to retrieve the copy it provided to the licensee in the event that the licensee stops complying with the terms of license agreement. So there are usually certain policies, certain terms or conditions that are defined by the service provider or the developer who is providing the software. So the user or the licensee have to obey all those policies or terms while having the access. So additionally, the software license usually offers the licensee protection from software's violation of the third party's intellectual property rights. So there is no third party which is intervening in the access. So it is a mutual consent, mutual agreement between the provider and the user. So in the case of infringement, the license agreement provides a mechanism for licensor to repair, replace, or remove the software from licenses possessions. So the provider is having all the rights. Let's say आपका सॉफ्टवेयर जो भी आप यूज कर रहे हो वो ओवर द टाइम क्रैश हो गया है, आपको सर्विसेज ठीक नहीं दे रहा, उसकी कुछ इनबिल्ट फाइल्स हैं आप इंपोर्ट नहीं कर पा रहे, कुछ फीचर्स हैं यूज नहीं कर पा रहे, so उस केस में it is the provider who actually replaces the software, and it provides you with the fresh copy of that particular software, but only if you are having the license agreement for that. So this way we work with license agreement, and there is uh, another kind of agreement between the provider and the user, and that is service agreement. तो सर्विस एग्रीमेंट क्या होता है? लाइसेंस एग्रीमेंट में तो आपको एज सच जो भी सॉफ्टवेयर डेवलप किया गया उसकी कॉपी मिल जाती है, बट व्हाट अबाउट सर्विस एग्रीमेंट? सर्विस एग्रीमेंट वो एक म्यूचुअल कंसेंट होता है, म्यूचुअल एग्रीमेंट होता है बिटवीन द प्रोवाइडर एंड द यूजर, जिसमें वो अलॉट करता है सर्विसेज कि कौन कौन सी सर्विसेज आपको मिलेंगी, उस सर्विसेज में कौन कौन से रिसोर्सेज आपको प्रोवाइड किए जाएंगे और वो कितनी ड्यूरेशन के लिए प्रोवाइड किए जाएंगे, और उसका एक्सेस जो है उसका कंट्रोल आपको दिया जाएगा या सिर्फ आपको दिया जाएगा, या आप अपने टीममेट्स के लिए भी चाहते हैं, और उन इन सब रिसोर्सेज के लिए, इन सब सर्विसेज के लिए आपको कितना पे करना पड़ेगा. इवन इट मे ऑल्सो इंक्लूड सम लीगल अग्रीमेंट्स और लीगल पॉलिसीज एज वेल. तो इस तरह से हमारा सर्विस एग्रीमेंट होता है. So basically a service agreement is not designed to protect against the peril of providing a copy of software to the user. It is primarily designed to provide the terms under which service can be accessed or used by the customer. So the service agreement may also set quality parameters around which the service will be provided to the users. So since there is no transfer of possession of a copy of software, and the service is controlled by company providing it, a service agreement does not necessarily need to cover infringement risk. So we are not protecting the users here, we are just providing with the services. So here they also don't have to set the forth of, let's say, the scenarios or manners in which the user or customer can copy the software or it is returned to vendor when a relationship is terminated. So there is no such possession thing is involved. So since the software services is controlled by provider here, the attendant risk and issues associated with the transferring possession of software without transferring owner does not exist at all. So we are not transferring any kind of control or software to the customer here. So moreover, the other thing that comes here is we have the value of using uh, service agreement in cloud arrangement. We are preferring service agreements over license agreements when it comes to cloud computing or cloud arrangements. So in each of the three cloud service models that we are discussing nowadays, that is SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, the access to the cloud-based technology is provided as a service to the cloud user. So the control and access points are provided by the control provider, and there is no conveyance of software to the cloud user. So over the cloud also what we are doing is, cloud पे भी हम सिर्फ access request करते हैं, जो भी resources available हैं, whether in terms of infrastructure, that is the hardware resources, or in terms of uh, the softwares or the platform. We are just requesting for services, we are requesting for resources. So we are not actually getting the control, or we are not indulged in the mechanisms here. So we'll be using what is being provided. So here also the user is not involved in security mechanisms or transferring mechanisms. So actually we should use service agreements in cloud scenarios. So a service agreement basically covers all the basic terms and conditions that provide adequate protection to the cloud user without committing the cloud provider to risk and liability attendant with the licensing of the software, which is not actually required over the cloud environment. So moving on to next, uh, when we are talking about digital services or cloud services, or even the distributed services, there are certain kind of contracts that comes up. The first one that comes under picture is the online agreement. ऑनलाइन एग्रीमेंट में क्या होता है कि आप जैसे आपने गूगल अकाउंट बनाया, गूगल अकाउंट जब क्रिएट करते हो आपने सारा फॉर्म फिल कर लिया, अपनी डिटेल्स जो है वो प्रोवाइड कर दी, लास्ट में एक आपको चेक बॉक्स मिलता है, आई अग्री विद टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन। तो वहाँ पे वो आप अगर उसको क्लिक करोगे, चेक करोगे, तभी आप अकाउंट साइन अप कर पाओगे, अदरवाइज दे विल नॉट अलाउ यू to create the account and have the services. So there is no such option. It's not your choice to whether to take or not. You have to take it if you want to create the account. So इसी तरह काफ़ी सर्विसेज, जो काफ़ी सॉफ्टवेयर्स भी इवन आते हैं जिनको आप इंस्टॉल करते हो, सेटअप ऑलवेज आस्क यू टू क्लिक ओवर द टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन दैट यू आर अग्रीइंग विद द टर्म्स एंड कंडीशन। तो वो जो होता है दैट इज टर्म्ड एज द रैप एग्रीमेंट। वो आपको क्लिक करना होता है तभी आप सर्विसेज ले सकते हो। सो when like an online agreement here is basically is a click wrap agreement with which a cloud user will be presented before initially assessing the services. So a click wrap is the agreement the user enters into when he she checks an I agree box, or something similar to the initialization of service relationship. So the agreement here is not subject to negotiation and is generally thought to be a contract here. So we can say a contract that heavily restricted one party while leaving the other relatively free. So आप नेगोशिएट नहीं कर सकते कि आप कुछ टर्म्स मान रहे हो या कुछ कंडीशंस मान रहे हो, या अगर इसमें ये भी मिलेगा फिर आप मानोगे। यू कैन नॉट नेगोशिएट ऑन सर्टेन टर्म्स, whatsoever they are providing you have to agree to if you want to have the access to the services। अगर यूज करना चाहते हो तो आपको अग्री करना पड़ेगा। सो इट इज काइंड ऑफ रैप एग्रीमेंट। तो इसमें ये ऑटोमेटेड काइंड ऑफ सिनेरियो आ जाता है, इसमें प्रोवाइडर्स जो हैं वो फ्री हो जाते हैं, उनको नेगोशिएशन में इन्वॉल्व नहीं होना पड़ता। सो इफ यूजर्स आर विलिंग दे हैव टू agree to their terms, otherwise they won't have the access. So this is more of the online agreement. So there is complete inequality in bargaining power in clicking the wrap agreement because there is no ability to negotiate them. So the click wrap is currently the most commonly used contracting model, especially when it comes to the digital usage or over the cloud. And the second kind of model that comes under picture is the standard one, the standard contract, under which we used to sign either manually or digitally, जहाँ हमें sign करना पड़ता है, and we can negotiate in those standard contracts. So they can be negotiated. So here, signature-based contract will have its place here. So as larger companies move to cloud, especially when it comes to public cloud or more mission critical applications they are using, as in if any application is targeting to a very particular or specific kind of scenarios or tasks. So under those conditions, we are taking the standard contracts in picture. So here the cloud user will mostly likely require the option or a more robust user-friendly agreement. So this will be the case where the economy is associated with resource pooling, or we can say is multi-tenancy and virtualization offered by cloud is maximum. So under this, where the user have to pay more, they are more concerned about the resources, about the terms and condition, and they usually negotiate. So on those grounds, you can prefer the standard contract scenarios. So next, we also have privacy policy terms and conditions here. So actually privacy policy होती क्या है, या हम टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस भी अगर बात करें, व्हाट दे एक्चुअली आर. आप कभी भी किसी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में भी काम करते हो, यू हैव टू अग्री टू सर्टन देयर पॉलिसीज, सर्टन कंडीशंस अंडर विच दे allow you to work, or there can be some restrictions, do's and don'ts. So they all should be documented just for the clarity basis, कि आप क्या कर सकते हो, क्या आप नहीं कर सकते, किन सिचुएशंस में क्या एक्शंस ले सकती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अगेंस्ट यू और इन फेवर ऑफ यू. तो ये सारी चीज़ें क्लियर होती हैं. सो इट इज़ अ मोर ऑफ फॉर्मल डॉक्यूमेंट. It is kind of contractual document that is formulated between the cloud user and the provider. So we can say the privacy policy of cloud provider is a kind of contractual document for cloud users to read and understand. So why it is actually required? So in privacy policy, the cloud provider will discuss in some details what is what it is doing or not doing, as the case may be, or to protect and secure the personal information of the cloud users and their customers. So what kind of protections they are providing or not providing, or what can be the risk to their personal data under certain situations. So they are actually clearing all those facts. So the cloud user may get a sense of how the cloud provider is complying with various privacy uh, laws by reviewing the privacy policy. And even if cloud provider is in full compliance with laws, data like it compromise could still occur. So there can be a lack of communication, there can be confusion or confliction still. Uh, so, but it reduces to certain level. So the privacy policy may be where one finds the limits the cloud provider is placing in its liability in such an event. So it is not negotiated, but a potential cloud user should be particularly interested in its terms. We cannot negotiate in this scenario as well कि हम इस situation में ये चाहते हैं या ये नहीं चाहते हैं. So we cannot do that. Rather, we have to accept if we want to associate. So if the privacy protection here appears inadequate or insufficient, the cloud user may wish to consider other cloud providers with more desirable or robust protection. They can switch to other cloud service providers as well, whatsoever is suiting to their conditions or their requirements. So the cloud provider should be explicit in uh, documenting the privacy policy, and they fully should describe what privacy, security, or safety mechanisms and safety features they are going to implement. So after the cloud privacy and policy, we have judicial issues that can be raised while we implement virtualization and data locations. So there are certain issues that can be raised. So we have to consider the fact and precautionary measures while implementing virtualization. So here the jurisdictions here can be defined as courts authority to judge acts committed in certain territories. So there were certain legal flaws in providing the services. To overcome those flaws, we have set some legal sections to get the access over the cloud, which deals with virtualization issues and multi-tenancies. So as over the cloud, the geographical locations of data is not actually centralized. As we know, it is distributed over the globe, and we can have multiple storage servers around the world, anywhere, and we can access from anywhere. So there is a significant impact on legal requirements for protection and handling of data. So under this, we'll be discussing more of those legal requirements. So when we are talking about virtualization, computer virtualization, as we know, is the simplest form, is where one physical server simulates being several separate servers. So there is one physical server only, and users or customers are elucified that they are using multiple separate servers. So taking an example, like in an enterprise setting, instead of having one single dedicated server to payroll system, uh, let's say another one is dedicated to sales support systems, and still we have the third server which is dealing with the asset management or resource management system. So here virtualization allows one server to handle all these functions all together, and we'll be virtualizing one single server and uh, uh, dedicate each sub-server to particular function. So a single server can stimulate being all three. Each one of these simulates servers is called like an independent virtual machine. So there are some benefits of virtualization, as in the need for less hardware and consumption of less power across the virtualized environment. And virtualization also provides data utilization and mechanism of hardware processing as well. And When we are talking about virtualization, it across a single or multiple data centers may have make it like difficult for cloud users or cloud providers to know what information is housed on which machine. So there is a lot of clumsiness in that scenario. So it emphasizes on maximizing the usage of available resources rather uh, where the data is actually resides. So there may be certain issues that can comes up while having the access of data from different locations in terms of the data security and privacy. So there must be certain laws to overcome and to handle those conflictions. So before we move on to next, just give me a minute. I need to take the attendance here. So when we are talking about multi-tenancy here refers to the ability of cloud provider to deliver software as a service solution to multiple client organizations. So they actually tenant from like single or shared instance of softwares. So the cloud users here, information is virtually or physically separated from other users. We are actually providing all the resource, but uh, uh, here users को ये पता नहीं होता है कि वो actually resources को share कर रहे हैं. As in we have one storage, data storage, बट उनको स्लॉट्स में हम डिवाइड कर देते हैं और हर टेनेंट को ऐसे यूसिफाई होता है कि वो इंडिपेंडेंट स्टोरेज पे ही एक्सेस ले रहे हैं रादर दे एक्चुअली आर शेयरिंग द रिसोर्सेज. सो द क्लाउड यूजर्स हियर have to face certain issues, the like some risk on issues with this model for cloud users may include the potential for one user to be able to access data belonging to another user. So they can have access if there is no proper mechanism available, and it is also there is a difficulty to back up and restore the data. And there has to be certain law, certain mechanism that handles these flaws for users. And moreover, when it comes to flexibility of data, so there are certain issues with flexibility of data here. So data has to be protected as it is stored over different locations. Uh, we have a certain mechanism for recovery and backup system here because the data is stored in different location and it is not actually over centralized to a particular user. तो अगर एक user का data किसी और location पे पड़ा है तो उसके पास कोई backup नहीं है, उसका कोई recovery procedure अगर नहीं है तो cloud पे वो damage हो गया तो they cannot have any of the copy. तो उसमें हमें नो डाउट अगर मल्टीपल लोकेशंस पे है हम बैकअप कर सकते हैं, बट व्हाट इफ वी आर नॉट हैविंग द रिकवरी प्रोसीजर. तो हमें ऐसा कोई लॉ चाहिए को जो रिकवर करवाने में हेल्प करे और किन सिचुएशंस में रिकवरी प्रोवाइड करेगा और उस रिकवरी के कितने चार्ज लगेंगे, कंपनी क्या उसमें बेनिफिट देगी. तो ये सारी चीज़ें लीगल पर्सपेक्टिव में इस जुडिशरी के अंडर आती हैं. So there are certain other judicial issues like confidential and government access to data. So we have certain government related or confidential data. So it has to be protected and there should be certain acts or norms. कुछ लीगल सेक्शंस इस तरह के हमारे बन चुके हैं ऑलरेडी कि हम कॉन्फिडेंशियल डेटा को किन ग्राउंड्स पे एक्सेस कर सकते हैं और किन को उसका एक्सेस मिलेगा और क्या मैकेनिज्म से हम सिक्योरिटी श्योर करेंगे. सो देयर आर certain sections for that also. Then we have international conflicts of laws as well. इंटरनेशनल कन्फ्लिक्ट्स में क्या होता है कि हर कंट्री के अलग अलग रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस होती हैं, अलग बिजनेस मॉडल्स होते हैं. सो जब हम इंटर कंट्री प्रोविजन देते हैं तो वहाँ कन्फ्लिक्शंस के चांसेस बढ़ जाते हैं. सो हमें कुछ ऐसे लॉज की ज़रूरत थी सर्विसेज लेने के लिए जो हम सिर्फ इंटर कंट्री रिसोर्स प्रोविजनिंग या एक्सेस में यूज करते हैं, सो दैट जो भी उनके डिफरेंसेस हैं पॉलिसीज के, टर्म्स के या बिजनेस मॉडल के, उसको हम ग्राउंड अप कर सकें, उनको बैलेंस कर सकें. सो देयर आर सर्टन लॉज, सर्टन सेक्शंस विच वर्क फॉर इंटरनेशनल कन्फ्लिक्शन resolutions. So this is all about the legal matters involved while having the access over cloud model or services. So overall, by summing up, what is required is कि हमें जब भी cloud पे access करना resources का, there should be a clear document for rules and regulation, and there should be a clear agreement, either it is licensed or service agreement. So it has to be very clear and transparent with users as well as the provider, so that we can resolve the long-term conflictions. So this is all about the concerns that are involved with legal matters or contracts while we are working with a cloud environment. So if anyone is having any kind of doubt, may ask the questions over here.